Radical.
Stockholm Syndrome symptoms: affection for or attachment to the abuser, attempting to help the abuser, distrust of or anger towards those trying to extract them from the situation, rationalizing abuse. I think that would pretty much sum up a lot of Cowboy fans. Not all Cowboy fans. Some Cowboy fans are rational. Some Cowboy fans are rational and they see the situation and then they might just choose to say, fuck it. I'm done with the Cowboys. I'm moving on to another organization. A well-run organization. Maybe the Chiefs, maybe the 49ers. Nothing wrong with admitting that your franchise, your favorite sports franchise, is terrible, is crap, is a joke. There's nothing wrong with that. Cowboys fans, it's perfectly fine. This is the perfect jumping off point. You can save yourself some years in the future of abuse, of mockery from people like myself. You can take off the big 10-gallon hat. You can take off the blue and silver face paint. You could be rational. The Cowboy fans, the ones I know at least, are not rational in the least. Because year after year after year, they continue defending their Cowboys. Year after year after year. There's a train in the background, ruining my recording. I'm outside. Fuck it. I'm on a roll. Year after year after year, and part of it is the sports media. They prop up them boys, prop up them Cowboys. And they have good regular seasons. I think the Cowboys were 12-5. Several seasons 11-6, 12-5. They're wonderful in the regular season. They get to beat up on teams in the NFC least. They're wonderful. They're great. They actually looked impressive this year versus some pretty good teams. Just a couple good teams. Most times they were beating up on the Giants, it seemed like. This was the year, they said. I had to hear from Cowboys fans. Sticking out their chest. Beating their chest like King Kong. We them boys! We them boys! We going to the ball, baby! We them boys! I'm tired of hearing that shit. I'm tired of it. I'm more tired of it than actual Cowboy fans. You should be tired of it. It starts and stops from the head. Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones had some success way back 30 years ago in the 90s. Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith. That was a hell of a team. They were coached by a hell of a coach. Since then, Jerry hasn't put any coach in that spot, gave them free reign over them boys. It's always been like a yes man to them. What was that one guy? Garrett, he sucked. Mike McCarthy, he's okay in the regular season, but you can clearly see that Mike McCarthy ain't that guy. The next person, I almost guarantee you, is, if we've actually seen from the past, it's not going to be somebody that Jerry Jones will let have free reign over the team. Because Jerry wants to control the coach. That's just Jerry's way. But the good news is, he's like 80-something now, isn't he? Almost 80? So Father Time will take care of his ass, and maybe you Cowboy fans will actually have something to cheer for. But still talking about Cowboys fans. I might shift into talking about the actual game and giving Jordan Love and the Packers some credit. Cowboys fans across all the fans in the world, not all of them, but most of them I've encountered, are fucking insufferable. Fucking insufferable. It's bad enough that the Cowboys, and the Lakers too, but the Cowboys are more than a franchise. They're a big, gigantic printer of money, the Cowboys are. The Cowboys could be 2-15. They could be as bad as like a team like, what was it? What's the team that's 2-15? I forget this year. But they could be the worst team. And you'd still have Cowboy fans pounding their chest. Woo, next year, boy. Woo, next year. We're going to get them next year. Give it up. You have Stockholm Syndrome, which again, I'll repeat, is affection for or attachment to the abuser. You are being abused by this trash organization, this team that hasn't done anything in damn near 30 years, this team that hasn't had any playoff success, this team that has, I'll use this as a segue, this team that was thoroughly destroyed, throttled, smacked around by a young Packers team. You know, the more things change, the more they stay the same. The Green Bay Packers are 6-0. They're 6-0 in the last 6 games against Dallas. I think, if I'm not mistaken, didn't all those wins, I don't have all my stats in front of me, I think all those wins were at Dallas. It is, I'd say it's shocking, but it's really not. It's shocking to a lot of Cowboys fans this Tuesday now. They were probably shocked Monday, waking up to it, realizing that their team, them boys, are no longer in it. Shocked that they got destroyed by a 7th seed. But the Cowboys made history. It's the first time a 7th seed has beat a 2nd seed in the playoffs. Not only that, the Packers are not led by Aaron Rodgers, a seasoned veteran. They're led by Jordan Love, a quarterback most people never even heard of. This is his first year starting. And, he's good. He's up there. You can make an argument he's one of the top 10 quarterbacks right now in his first year starting. So he's not a scrub. He's not a slouch, but he's young. The Packers team is among the youngest in the NFL right now. You're telling me that a Packers team mostly full of, young, early 20 guys in their early 20s, early mid-20s, you telling me they beat the Packers, led by Dak Prescott, a seasoned veteran, the 12-5 Packers? And Dak's got some weapons. That defense, supposedly the best defense in the league, was it? They got torched. The Packers were just toying with them. First it was 7-0, then 14-0, then 20-0, then 27-0. Cowboys fans, it's okay. Just have your moment and realize that you are being abused by your franchise. And good old Jerry Jones, he's laughing all the way to the bank. Because it doesn't matter to Jerry. Old Jerry, it don't matter to him. He's still the focal point of the Cowboys. He's still, after every press conference, good or bad, taking no blame whatsoever. It's not on him. But if they win, oh yeah. On Thanksgiving, they beat up on those Commanders, 40-10, and he was bragging about that. This year, they were going to the Super Bowl. But the thing is, when you're on the way to the Super Bowl, you can't overlook teams like the Green Bay Packers that came ready to play. Talent-wise, they were not on the level of the Cowboys. But the thing about the playoffs is talent really doesn't matter as much in the playoffs. It's about who's hungry, who wants it more. Coaching comes into play in the playoffs. You start to see the weaknesses of some of the coaches. Because now it's not just a regular season. They're fighting. It's not even a series like the NBA. They're fighting. You get to see who the hungrier team were. And the Cowboys weren't hungry at all. It was pathetic. Dak Prescott had a good to great regular season. He was on his way to becoming a possible MVP candidate before Lamar Jackson he's definitely going to be the MVP, I would say. You can make the argument Dak Prescott was elite over the regular season. But Cowboys fans, you know what happens. Come to playoffs, you can't depend on Dak. Dak's going to shit the bed. Dak's going to save his worst for the time he needs his best. 2 interceptions, 1 being a pick six. It's the last thing you needed against a hungry Green Bay team. I just can't get over. Like, they're young. Such a young team. 7th seed. Those cheeseheads got you, man. And if you have a franchise like the Cowboys, and you're a Cowboys fan, many of you probably are going to leave me comments in the comment section angry at me for telling you the fucking truth. It's one thing I do here is tell people the fucking truth. Whether or not you want to hear it, that's on you. But I'm telling you the truth. Your team is trash. Complete trash. Mediocre trash. Worse than 2-15, 3-win, 4-win teams. The Cowboys are actually worse than the Giants. I'll say that again. The Cowboys are worse than the Giants. You know why? Because the Giants have no expectations whatsoever. It's one thing to not even be in the conversation to go into the Super Bowl. But when you got all the pieces, you got all the talent. Supposedly, you're geared up and ready, Super Bowl or bust. And you bust. You bust hard. I would make the argument that's worse. Because at least, if you're, well, maybe not worse because Giants are paying that quarterback they got like, what, $40 million? Then maybe not. But at least you have hope. Cowboys ain't got no hope. The Cowboys are not a piece away. At least a team that's crappy, they get high draft picks. They can maybe draft their way out of it. At least they have some cap space. Cowboys ain't got shit. They're not going to have a high draft pick. They're holding on to Dak Prescott, who I think is getting paid $60 million. That's a joke right there. Paying him $60 million to be a first game exit. I'm not going to have time to do a follow-up on the Eagles, but similarly, the Eagles, they lost to the Buccaneers. NFC least, what I'm telling you. They lost to the Buccaneers, but they're in free fall. They're in collapse. At least their problems are attributed to coaching because they have a lot of talent. And it's not, like Jalen Hurts is going to be like Dak Prescott and shit the bed. He was in the Super Bowl last year. The Eagles won a Super Bowl, 5-6 years ago? So it's a different situation between the Eagles and the Cowboys. Both bad. But you kind of feel like the Eagles are just maybe maybe a player or two away and then a great coach away. It just seems like that team lost faith. Not saying that the Cowboys didn't lose faith in their coach, but it's different situations. Because the Eagles actually, this century, have had some measure of success. There are successful franchises. There are successful teams in the regular season. And then, like I said, in the playoffs, when you really got to do it, you really see who's garbage, who's mediocre, who are the pretenders. I would feel bad for Cowboys fans if so many of you fans weren't fucking insufferable, kind of like Lakers fans. You're just fucking insufferable because you walk around like you goddamn own the place everywhere you go. Because the Lakers, at least, they're the most winningest team in the NBA, along with the Celtics. I can understand with the Lakers. But the Cowboys have no reason to stick their chest out and go, "We them boys! We them boys!"